Hello, everybody. I want to do this live. It's explosive. It's sad, and it's the destruction of Canada. And I want to be clear about this with people before we get into the in-depth look from conservative to liberal to conservative. 1991, 2023, today, where we are now, and what it means to go on the internet as a Canadian and what's going to happen. So we're losing all media content on Meta Universe, which is no, I thought I lost everybody. That was a long pause. I should have turned off notifications, but go through this sick and disturbing. Plus, we got Danielle Smith. I've got her on a yikes. That makes no sense. I don't know, but it's massive, large scale con of Albertans and really Canadian. Well, we'll see. I just made some setting adjustments. I hope this stays. So I've got Danielle Smith dead to rights on a massive purposeful lie her government has now purported, and when you hear it, you're going to be shocked. It's credible, real, verifiable. I went through the government sites. I was actually shocked myself that she would claim something so astronomically false and ignorant to think that we would see prices like that in the market is far-fetched and absolutely fancy. It's a bold face lie. Joe Biden, impeachment, lots of people sharing stuff with me, messaging out. That's farcical too, and I hate to say it. McCarthy and what he did with the Republicans, and they had it changed to just a committee. Biden is not being impeached. It's a refer to a committee for an investigation of impeachment. I can tell everybody right now, more than 20 times since Joe Biden's been in office, he is committed to constitutional violations of the highest magnitude. You can say severity, like how bad is it? Maybe some of them aren't super severe in the world, but they're severe enough where if you have to breach the Constitution of the United States as a sitting president, you don't just do it once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, or 18, 19 times. He's done it 20 times, 20 times plus. In fact, this is a perpetual breacher of the Constitution, probably the worst president you can rank in the history of the States for a very long time. That's a fact. But what happened in the House today is not an impeachment vote. It's a vote instead of an impeachment vote. It's a vote to send it to a committee to investigate whether he should be impeached. And the answer clearly right now is yes, yes, yes. So the idea of going to a committee, paying taxpayers out to a group of blowhards to determine what we already know, Joe Biden's violated the Constitution 20 times since he's been in office. You don't need a degree or a fancy accreditation to come to terms with that. It's blatant and it's clear. It's blatant and it's clear on many levels and many times. But I want to get into the Canadian Broadcasting Act. It started in 1991 with one Brian Mulroney. If you all haven't seen it, Brian Mulroney is a large supporter of Justin Trudeau. He's a progressive conservative, the ancient liberal conservative party, the really registered conservative party of Canada as they're legally defined and registered. They're the liberal conservative party. You can change your names, you can't change your registration, and you can't change your founding memberships, which have been dead since 1933. It's an autocratic party. No different than the Liberal Party of Canada. Their founding membership's been dead since 1932. Oh, yes, 5 people run those parties. Each of those parties is run by 5 people. You never hear about them on the news. Of course, Justin Trudeau sits at the highest level of the Liberal Party of Canada. And of course, now Pierre Poilievre sits at the highest level of the CPC party today. 5 run the entirety of it. Nobody else matters. Nobody. Unless, of course, you're in a Crown appointment or you're elected to office underneath that autocracy. Again, Liberal Conservative doesn't matter. And we can look at Bill C-18, what's going on, what to expect. So right now, I can pick up my device or sit at my computer, and I can look at news stories of the day. I can search political interest, criminal interest, sports interest, all kinds of news stories, stream what I want. I don't have to go buy a paper and flip through it. I can look at the stories I want to see that I think are pertinent for Canadians to know about. I do it all the time. That is coming on to an end, not only in Facebook, but Instagram, as well as Google. So when I pick up my phone to do a Google search, there will be no news whatsoever as a Canadian. That's coming. You won't see any. You want to see anything about the news, you'll have to flick on your TV, flick on your satellite, flick on your cable. That's it. You will be able to buy a paper. That's the news you will get. Is this going to be the same for every other country in the world? The answer is no. You'll get all that content anywhere else in the world, except for other autocratic totalitarian regimes who started this reign of terror with big corporates, big platforms, and the need for the Canadian propaganda media to be on it, forced, and to have these platforms pay them and other deemed Canadian producers a minimum amount of money every year, like Trudeau and Harper did while they were in government. Folks, if you don't know this, I suggest you go research the investigations done by our justice system. There are appointed positions. We just watched one who's disclosed much about everybody every year, but nobody seems to care. Now, you can read about all these things these people have done and what we're forced to do as taxpayers to subsidize content that the government wants you to watch, what the government determines you should see, what content you should see. Paid media. How long has it been going on? Well, it started with the Broadcasting Act 1991, Brian Mulroney. And from there it goes liberal, conservative, back and forth, and they keep opening the act. They keep financing Canadian media with your tax dollars for their political needs. They even take over the media and implant the government on the boards. If it sounds like communism or fascism, is because it is. Your Canadian government has been moving very fast in autocracy, Canadians. Very fast. Targeting their propaganda machine, their media. Now, Facebook, Meta, billionaire, Google, billionaire, said, hey, you know what? Eat shit. Eat shit. Now, Pierre Poilievre voted no against Trudeau's Bill C-18 in the Senate review bill that's going through and passed officially today, which is what moved Facebook and Google to say, we're out. And just to operate in Canada, we're kicking all media off our platforms in Canada. Means if you're an American resident, you'll be able to Google search Canadian news stories, but not any registered Canadians. If you have a Canadian address, a Canadian email, you've registered on these platforms as a Canadian, you're done. You're not going to get any. You're being dumbed down, silenced. You're basically like a communist Chinese citizen. The Google search will have no results. These operators operate all over the world, and they've dealt with regimes like Canada many, many times. They do. They operate per the laws of the country they're in. They will sequester content at the bequest of the government against the citizens, or in our case, subjects and savages. They will lock you out of all that content so you won't know it even exists. Is this about greedy corporations, or is this about a government dumbing down their citizens and keeping them from learning truths? Who voted for this in 2013 under the previous Senate Bill 220? Well, that would be Pierre Poilievre. Yes, he was financing media. He was even moving government into positions on boards, regulating the government media for the government's benefit. Not you, the people, for the government's benefit. Taking control. It's been going on since Brian Mulroney, and Liberals, Conservatives keep passing the potato and keep adding to these acts, introducing more and more amendments to the Broadcasting Act and creating new bills that allow them to be even more autocratic. And when media is not complying, they're just going to remove them from the viewing of Canadians. They know a multitude of Canadians are online now, and now they're going to remove that from you. Do you think this is about greedy corporations or tyrannical government? The answer, obviously, is tyrannical government. Every single politician, conservative, liberal, NDP votes are there, Bloc votes are there, they've all went forward with this at different stages and different times. They've all participated. Again, I'm going to say it. What countries do you find have these similar decisions made and similar actions made in regards to media? Well, if you classed communist countries and full-on dictatorships, you'd be 100% correct. And in fact, you can look at Facebook, who has no problem in the next 2 months, and Google, who has no problem implementing this on all Canadians. Not a problem. They've already done it many, many times before in many other countries. Dictatorships, tyrannical government regimes. Yes, they will make money and they will respect the laws of that UN state. They don't care as long as they're making their money. They will reduce their content and the freedoms of the people as they need to, as the government deems it. And if anyone thinks that Bill C-18 wasn't anything other than another con job by the government to trick you into a more autocratic state, to dumb you down, to remove information off the internet from you, the Canadian people, I don't know what to tell you, because I'll prove it in Kansas. I go there next month, and you watch. I'll be on my phone, and I'll be able to search on Google Canadian news stories. But in the coming weeks, that's going to disappear from me in Canada. I'll have to actually go on CBC's website and pay the money to subscribe if I want some kind of online notifications on stories. I don't think so. Fuck you. And you know what? All Canadian content, If it's so important, it will win the day. If it's so important to Canadians, it will win the day. If this idea of Canadian identity is so important, maybe we shouldn't have had the government remove timestamps and addendament initiatives on repeals and amendments to all laws so that you, the Canadian people, can look up any law, no matter how old it is, and look at when, where, and by who, which government persons in power decided to change that law or amend the law or repeal portions of the law. Our history, right? Our legal history as a rule of law state, supposedly. But it's rules for thee, but not for me. And that's truly what Canada is. It's sick. It's gross. People should share this video out. You should get it out there. It's important for people to know because it's you who's being deprived. I published 3 words that even Chat GPT can't even go over properly. And why is that? Because sadly, Canadians and even AI will never achieve advanced levels because it's privy of what knowledge you get to see. To get those 3 words, I had to know a high society law professor who wrote that in educational material and is available if you go to law school and you purchase the books, or you have a lot of money and you can afford to buy these very limited books. Usually you have to have a degree to even be allowed to buy them. This is why things like AI will never achieve a higher realm. It's why they're flawed so badly, because even AI is only allowed to see what's made public to average Joe Jane. You can feed that. I just went through this last night with 2 individuals, a fire pit talk with one smart fella, and I said, you have to feed AI information. If you can't feed that information to AI, it, like all the people, will be dumbed down. That's what I mean when I say that. It's what you are privy and allowed to read. The 3 words in legal speak, in American legal speak, and it's global anyway in constitutionalism, those words, those definitions are only available if you're a lawyer and you go to higher education. Just like there's only things available in text to doctors going to school for medicine. And as the years progress through, they get more information that the rest of us never get to see. You're not privy to it. All these specializations across the board all have it. Law enforcement, everybody. It's a good way of making a puzzle, and none of the pieces know what the other pieces do. And you can keep the masses very ignorant. This is why AI will never, ever be anything more than an average Joe Jane. And AI will deteriorate as the government deteriorates what's made available to the people. I have to work very hard to get information. I have to go to the top institutions in the world. I have to find the smartest people in the world, or I don't get access to the information. It's how I learned to study the government so very, very well. I'm fortunate. I'm lucky. I found those ins to get that information. But now, with C18, get ready, folks. One thing about media is they can go to experts. You can get news stories that are important. It's not all bad, whether you like the material or content or not. It's up to us to read it, analyze it, and figure it out for ourselves and see where we sit. But now you won't be privy to that anymore. We're all cut off. And it's coming in as little as 2 weeks' time. When you do Google searches, good luck. Canadian media won't be there. You'll have to subscribe to their individual websites for content, and you'll have to pay a monthly fee. That's what's happened. That's the reduction of internet and internet-related services and platforms for Joe Janes. It's funny, I was born in the implementation of the platform. I'm right at that age. I was the first one to go through Windows training in school and higher education. It was brand new. And now we're losing even that, which at my pivotal years was fresh and exciting. And wow, the power of the internet. I've watched as I learned to do web design on MS-DOS. MS-DOS. I was trained in website design in MS-DOS. Think about where I've gone in my time and everything I was able to do at the age of 20 and then started to become less by 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Now I'm watching massive restrictions unfold. This country's been at it for a long time, and even long before I came on the scene, it started with Brian Mulroney, 1991. Go have a look. Liberal, conservative, with votes from NDP and Bloc in between, all of them are against all of you. And anyone who doesn't see that with what's going on here, I don't know what to tell you. Scary, scary indeed. And a lot of people will be upset in the next month or two, but you'll watch. People will get used to being dumbed down. And in a few short years, they'll forget all about it. And they'll just take the government in their mouth and in their various orifices like it's common practice. That's the sad reality of Canada. How people don't see where we're going as a country is beyond me. It's always been here, but the government's speeding up. They're getting bolder as they're more successful with their autocracy, and they keep going unabated by any view. People are asking me, what is Parliament and the party system in Canada? And the best answer I got last night from a pretty smart individual as we're sitting around talking is, it's like Stampede Wrestling, WWF. It isn't real. It's not real. These guys are not at each other's throats. They're all one and the same. Having a friendly game of who's going to get the crown, like the WWF belt. Are they really fighting it out? Or are they all just laughing behind the scenes off the cameras? The answer is they're just laughing behind the scenes off the cameras. It's all about getting the crown, getting the tremendous power and control, growing your wealth at the expense of all the people, because most of them, are defined as not human beings anyway, or they're basically slaves, only good for kicking around. That is the Canadian system, written, logged, codified. And folks, it's only getting more dramatic and worse every other week, every other day. And it is shocking and disturbing. But at some point, what do you say? Do you want to be a dummy who lives in the dumb country called Canada? Or do you move on? And people can say a lot about other countries, but at least you're not being dumbed down in those countries. If you want to better yourself or grow your intellectual prowess, that's your choice. You can. Canada? Nope. For me, not for you. That's how it works. It's gross, disgusting, and it's shameful. That's my video. Bye now. Share. Get it out there.